One of the things that I get constantly, and especially today, is thank you for running. And all I can say to that is thank you for running. Because you guys don't know, but we're all running this race. We are all assigned, it's a new assignment to win this race in November, to make sure that Kamala Harris gets elected, to make sure that I get elected, to make sure that she has the support she needs, and all the way down the ballot, because time is of the essence. We have to turn back whatever this craziness is, and that has been dominating things for the last, since 2016? We have been in a nightmare since 2016. I'm Dr. Valerie McCray, and I started this journey as being a psychologist in prisons. That's when I first had that inclination that we could do better. It's very difficult to watch all of this talent, all this creativity, all of these lives just kind of thrown into this human junkyard. And maybe it's because I'm a Goodwill shopper. It's like, wait a minute. This is not junk here. These are real human beings that had a lot to offer if we only did things just a little bit differently. If we only took care of the poverty issues, if we only took care of the drug issues, if we only took care of the rape and incest issues, most of these people would not be in this prison today. It was very difficult for me to watch mothers and fathers trying to raise their children from the visitation room when they needed to be home with their children. So that was when the first thought came up. Then after that, I started working with the military. I kind of bounced back and forth between these two because I can only do about 3 years of each before I'm like, I need to take a breather, let me go work with the military. And it's been like this back and forth between the military and the prisons. And with the military, you've got the PTSD evaluations that I do. I've done thousands of these. And just listening to the trauma and the things that we bring back home from war. And it's not just about the soldiers. The whole families are affected, and we've got to do better about protecting our soldiers and actually making sure that their families are okay as well. So that was another thing. But also throughout all of this, I've worked with juvenile prisons as well, Logansport. I was clinical director there for several years. And every day that I looked at the newspaper, I was wondering, is one of my kids from the juvenile detention center, am I going to see them in the paper this week? And sometimes I did. We stopped allowing the kids to watch television at Logansport, watch the news anyway. Because invariably, while they were inside, one of their cousins, brothers, friends would be killed, and they'd see someone on the television. One of the things we need to know is that the kids have not changed. Not one bit. The arguments that they have are the same stupid arguments we had when we were in grade school and high school. The same bullying, the same arguments, the same girls, the same territorial stuff. It's the same arguments. Except now you've thrown guns into the mix. Guns that are so readily available, that are so easy to get. And so now those regular arguments turn into something disastrous. So I work for the Stop the Violence Unit as well. Stop the Violence here in Indiana, we're consulting psychologists. So nothing can spur you to politics faster than having a bunch of guns thrown in our communities. So that was 3. Number 4, one of the 4 things that spurred me ahead was I was working in one of the prisons when I had 2 spiritual females that were stuck in a male situation. Everything about them felt female. But here they are in a male prison and not able to get the hormone treatments and those things that they needed. And all I was trying to do with this particular prison was just get the staff to be kind. Quit saying male or men or Mr. Just say inmate Jones. Just be kind. Let's just be kind. We almost had everyone to the point of just being respectful. when Donald Trump issued an order that transgender people could not be in the military. The attitude of the whole prison changed overnight. And suddenly I became the person of attack. Because I almost made them be kind. I almost had them there. How dare I do that? And then I was very clear of how one person's attitude can change the attitude of so many people. One person's attitude. So after going through years and years of being a clinical psychologist in prisons, it's like, okay, I'm watching all this stuff go on. And I'm watching all these character disorders, and I'm watching all these things in prison happen. It's like, you know what, I need to be in Washington because I'm seeing some of these same behaviors in Washington, D.C. They really need a psychologist to help sort some of this stuff out. Because clearly, they don't know crazy when they see it. And I do. So, yeah. And of course, the first stop I made was with Cordelia Lewisburg. And said, Miss Cordelia, I gotta tell you, I'm running for U.S. Senate. And she listened, and she supported me, and she slapped my hands when I didn't get there the last time. And then I said, but I'm gonna run again, Miss Cordelia. And she was fussing, but at the end of that conversation, she says, all right, Senator. And that was enough to spirit me forward again. So all of this, I'm looking at, when I'm looking at you, you're looking at me as a leader in this, and I'm looking at you as, these are all my warriors. Because no one can win a battle by themselves. We cannot win the battle of women's rights by ourselves. I'm going to tell you one other thing. We won our last campaign. We won 90 of the 92 counties. And the funny thing was, we did it with practically no money at all. You know, our campaigns told out millions of dollars. We had $6,000 at one point. I think we got another $5,000 or so in the last month. And some graciousness of the Dunnos that sort of helped us with a few things. But basically, we did that campaign totally. We had 300, you know how you're supposed to have like 1,000 yard signs in each city? We had 300 for the whole state. For the whole state. What that meant was, the night before the election, we had to run around the city to find yard signs to take them to the polls. We were stealing yard signs to put them in the places they were supposed to be. That's how broke we were. But the issue is that women showed up. And we won 90 of the 92 counties. They showed up because women's rights are on the ballot. They understood that women's rights are paramount. And one of the things I want to encourage people to do, they have had us on the ropes with the abortion issue. We've been on the defensive for I don't know how long, like we're baby killers, we're this, we're that. But the fact of the matter is nothing is more sick than people who think that they can be in your exam room at your most vulnerable time in your life and dictate what happens in that exam room. That's what's sick. It's sick for people to think that they can control women's bodies and their trajectory in life. Women know what they're doing. They know what they need. They know what they can handle, what they can't handle. They know what's best for themselves, and get out of our business. As a psychologist, another thing is HIPAA. Our medical lives should not be open to anybody. So I'm so glad that we're going to have Destiny Wells to make sure that no one is going to be able to go into our medical files and chase women across the state and know, why should they know whether or not a woman has had her period or not? That's kind of sick. Yep. That is really sick. And I'm just grateful that Destiny has jumped in the rings as well. We've got Jennifer McCormick, who is also going to be a leader in trying to make sure that women's rights are turned back here in the state of Indiana. But for me, I want to go nationally to make sure we codify Roe v. Wade, to make sure that we enshrine it such that it is never going to be an issue again, that it's in our Constitution. We're going to push it up and Kamala Harris's promise to sign that document. But we have other issues too. Indiana, the national minimum wage is still $7.25. It's crazy. Somebody said, that's crazy. Most states have went up on that, but Indiana is still at $7.25. $7.25. What does that say to us? It hasn't been raised in I don't know how long. But the cost of education has went up 800%. The cost of housing has went up astronomically. But yet still, minimum wage is $7.25. We have senators that have voted for their raises for 6 consecutive times, but yet still they voted down raising minimum wage. We got to do better than that. We've got to make sure that taxes make sense. Because what we have now is ridiculous. Well, we've got 90% of the people, well, 10%, let me flip this. 10% own everything, but yet still they're paying less taxes, and some are paying no taxes at all, right? We've got to have tax laws that make sense. But underlying all of this, our environmental issues, all of our other issues, is campaign finance. Our campaign is committed to not taking these huge dollars from places that are going to dictate or cloud our ability to make good decisions about our environment, about our health care, about anything. We're committed to making sure that I go to Washington, D.C. totally untethered by any large corporations that are going to demand that we continue with fossil fuels, that demand that we're able to push, that we push back EPA standards. I want to go totally free of any of those things. And I'm committed to doing that. But on a global level, on a national level, I want to make sure we do something about Citizens United. We've got to turn that back, because right now we have so many of our leaders already bought and sold before they even get to Washington. And you wonder why your needs are not being met. You've already been sold out. And I'm determined not to be one of those politicians. That's not going to happen. Ever. So, trust me on that. The thing about it is that we're all in this together. We're absolutely in this together. Every last one of you. It's going to be up to you. It's not just about me. I'm just the one who was crazy enough to say, I'll run. But actually what it is that I felt like I never had the right not to run. When I look at all the blessings and actually all the bad things that have happened in my life, they all add up to one thing. Say, you're ready for this. If anybody can do this, you can do this, and you have no right to say, no, you can't do it. All the little $20 and prayers and all these things that have happened, all the people that have went behind me and made sure that I'm just shored up to move forward. All those things that have happened throughout my life. I've been a flight attendant, so I know what it's like to see healthcare systems at work, where you're not getting big, huge bills. I've seen it in action. I've been lucky enough to go to one of the best schools in psychology in the country. Those things don't just happen to young people like me who went to school 37 and Tech High School. These things are happening for a reason. I have to know that with those blessings are responsibility. And I didn't know that you guys would be here, except that I knew that the voice that I got was, I don't hear voices, by the way, I'm not psychotic. But this understanding that I had was, Valerie, get out there and do it. Every person and everything you're going to need, you're going to find them on the way. And that's exactly what has happened. We have people stepping up to the plate. Dr. Lindy, we've got Ian Stack, other people, Rita Variable. We've got so many people that are just stepping up. Friends, Tracy. You know, all of these people are stepping up. You all are stepping up as well. Everything we need is right here in this room. And if it's not in this room, it's at the next stop. You know, we do so much. And I know that Destiny and Jennifer and I, we're out on the campaign trail a lot. And we're so tired, we don't even talk. We're just like, hey, what's up? And we're just you're like, what's up? We're the same panel together sometimes. We were on the panel the other day. And it's like we know what our mission is, and we're all on our mission. We're dependent on each other to take care of their mission. But we need all of you guys to be part of our mission. Right? We're going to win in 2024 in November because we've got all of you. We've got all these warriors, all these soldiers. Anyway, I'm Dr. Valerie McCray, and I can't wait to be your next senator in 2024. Here in the United States. I'm fighting for democracy. I'm fighting for equality. I'm fighting for equity. I'm fighting for equal opportunities. I'm fighting for sanity in this country. I'm fighting for the climate. I'm fighting for enough money to be content, to be happy, not stressed out. I'm fighting for the right to make your own decision about your own life. I'm fighting for our freedoms. I'm fighting for our health, our mental health, and our physical health. I'm fighting for the freedom to be kind to each other, the freedom to have businesses to create. And I'm fighting for this idea that everyone's life is valuable. And there's not one person's life that's more valuable than the next, and everyone should be respected. That's what I'm fighting for, and that's what America has stood for, and that's what I want to get back to. I'm fighting for all of us.
Hello everyone, my name is Elise Struck and I am honored to have been invited today to lead a little bit of a Q&A. You all received an index card that you could write a question on. So if something has spurred a new burning question since Dr. McCray began her remarks, feel free to pass that around. Folks are going to be grabbing those and sending them to me, but we do have a couple that have already been sent my way. So we'll just kick this off. And if you have one you want me to pick up, go ahead and just hand it or just signal to someone and we can get that over to someone along the side. And I think we have one right here, actually. Thank you, Dr. McCray. One of my favorite things is one of the first questions that came through was a little spicy. So y'all are ready to ask some things, and I love it. Dr. McCray, first question. Will you debate Jim Banks?
The question is, will Jim Banks debate me?
I think that
is the question. Absolutely. He has not responded. The independent candidate, Hardy, he's responded, but we're waiting. We keep sitting up, we're saying, hey, what you gonna do? Come on, we're ready for you, but yeah. We will debate Jim Banks.
That's great. We have a lot of interest in that. So we've had a couple of questions about that. Folks who are asking about accessibility and what it's going to take to get there. So I'm sure he does decide to maybe or maybe not take you on, because we know how that's going to go. You're going to wipe the floor with them. It'll be accessible for all. One thing that I love about your platform is how you talk about and how you phrase breathable wage. And one of our listeners feels the same way. So can you talk a little bit more about what that means? Because folks don't just deserve to go paycheck to paycheck. They also deserve to thrive. And I think that's right.
Right, you know what, we coined that term breathable wages because we not live there. I've lived in that space where it's like you're afraid of your mailbox, you know, it's like, whatever's in there can't be good, you know, so we'll leave it there. But, so I've been there, I know what that feels like. Breathable wages to me is not only just having the money to get from week to week, month to month, but you have that extra money to like save a little bit for your kids. And all 4 tires are good this month. So you don't have to buy tires, there's nothing wrong, nothing broken. And you've got that room to just sort of breathe. And we all deserve that. We all deserve to have wages that make sense so we can just breathe. Being in crisis mode, stress mode all the time is not good for anybody. It has something to do with it makes a difference in our physical health, our mental health. It makes a difference in how our kids are treated and how kids are going out into the world wanting more. It makes a difference. So breathable wages also means to be able to take care of those things that we want to take care of and have some room to relax a little bit.
Yeah, we have kind of a question that kind of piggybacks off of that. Oh, thanks.
We're really David Letterman style.
Yeah. We have someone that says, I worry that rural Hoosiers are both suffering and full of fear of change and people who are different from them. What have you found when visiting small Hoosier towns?
You know, one thing about prisons is they're in these small towns. So being a part of those communities, going to those restaurants, talking to people, something I just have done for the last 30 years. So it's not unfamiliar territory for me, the small towns. We've also visited a few of them once, like the poorest one in the state. People want to be heard. It's simple as that. They feel ignored in a lot of the smaller towns. But just to visit and just listen to what's going on. Each town is different. Their circumstances are different. Sometimes they have medical issues. Some of them are without medical care. They're losing their hospitals, they're losing their schools. So each one is different, and they come with a different set of problems, and they just want to be heard, to make sure that they're heard, and that's what our campaign does.
Great, thank you. And we have a couple of campaign side questions that are coming in. There's some policy ones. So I'm going to do my best to kind of group those together. We have about, I think, around 12 more minutes. So just bear with me as I try to make sure everyone is heard tonight and we're giving Dr. McCray the ability to answer all of your questions. And thank you for all of these that came flooding in. Y'all really understood the assignment. We have someone that writes, there are over 300,000 Hoosier households who are eligible for help with their rent, but there are just 92,000 subsidized housing rentals in the state. Almost 200,000 Hoosier families are spending more than 50%. What plans do you have to not only, or spending over half their paycheck on housing, essentially? What plans do you have to not only expand the housing supply, but to increase the supply of affordable housing?
That's sort of a state question, but a national question as well, because we're getting this all over the country. As far as the lack of affordable housing, and housing has went up. A lot of hedge funds have bought up thousands and thousands of homes. That has to be dealt with differently, maybe taxed differently, because for one, they're not taking care of these homes. They're in New York, they're in different countries sometimes, and they're owning properties in our neighborhoods. Not only that, when you have these type of rental properties that aren't taken care of, you're sort of mess up the communities as well. So there are a lot of economic and also emotional community issues that are surrounding this type of affordable housing. So we have to build more, but we also have to stop the hoarding of homes as well. So we're figuring that out as far as what that looks like, but it's a national crisis. It's not just Indiana. But Indiana's not used to these high prices. This used to be one of the best places to live, the most affordable, and it's not anymore. And the thing about it, people that are on fixed incomes especially are really suffering because their rents have went up $300 and $400 more. Where is that money coming from? So they're having to make decisions not to buy medications or not to buy groceries so they can afford to stay where they are. So it's a national crisis. So and definitely Indiana crisis. So it's a matter of really honing into that almost immediately as soon as we get into office.
Thank you. We're kind of switching to a different policy topic here. Recently, I know you and some of your team members journeyed down to the U.S. border. So a question on that is, what was that experience like for you, and what impact do you plan to have on immigration policy?
You know, one of the main things that we actually took a class. We didn't just go to the border, we actually took a class and we wanted to know, our team wanted to know, and especially I wanted to know, what is this border wall? What are we actually seeing? Because what I was hearing back from people that live in the border towns, it wasn't that super crisis that they keep projecting out on television. So I wanted to know for sure. I wanted to know what that was like to be there. It was as I expected, which was that's an ugly piece of whatever that is. It doesn't need to be there. It was interesting that where we were at the border, there was a school. You know, where this screen is now, there was a school. So these kids are looking at this border wall. One of the things that was pushed to the surface, one of the things that we kept being reminded of is nobody wants to leave their home. Nobody wants to climb a wall, go through the desert, risk their lives when they really want to be home. But it's only the circumstances where they're leaving, the danger, that makes people want to have it, makes people seek something better. So we have to deal with that. So the border wall was very touching for me. It's a changer, your mindset changer. We're reminded these people are human. We were seeing things. There are people that are humanitarians and angels that they have water bottles or those things in the desert, so that if someone's stuck in the desert, they can find water. But people were going through, the Border Patrol were ordered to go through and make sure they put holes in the water bottles. Things like that, so that people were dying. And there's 7,000 people that are just dying out there. Those are the bodies they find. The ones that they don't find because of the heat, because of the dry air, and because of animals taking them away. You don't find everyone. So those are what they call the disappeared, that they can't account for. We as Americans, we can do better in this languaging about the folks that are not documented. What we're creating with these conversations that say that these people are released from insane asylums, that they're criminals, we're creating an atmosphere where they're going to be very, very vulnerable to exploitation, to being used and abused. And we have to be very careful about that. We're bigger than that. Our hearts are bigger than that, and that's not what America's all about. So legislation that makes sense, to make sure that we pass legislation that's both makes sense for the United States, but also that's human in our efforts, because we've got to make sure we don't lose that part of us that are just human and care about people. Definitely.
Thank you. And as someone who is very proud to be from an immigrant family, thank you. We have a question that moves now to reproductive freedom and reproductive rights. We have someone that writes, in my opinion, many right-to-life folks neglect to fight for those outside the womb. Nonetheless, we need their vote. How will you convince them to vote for you?
The people that are right to life.
Yeah, and I think it's speaking to, voters and constituencies.
What I try to remind people that we probably have many of the same goals. Our goals overlap quite a bit. if your goal is to make sure there's many beautiful, beautiful, happy, fat babies get here, we are on the same page. But my idea about them getting here is just a little bit different. My idea is make sure you have health care, make sure you have daycare, make sure you have a family leave. Make sure you make it easier for that woman to say yes to bringing a baby here on this earth. Make sure you have equality with jobs and wages. So we got the same idea, but my idea of getting there is just different from yours. My idea of getting there is to make it easy for women to say yes, but you don't take away her choice. You never do that. It's such a slippery slope. You know, I've talked to people from Afghanistan, I've talked to people from other countries. It's a slippery slope when you try to control women's bodies. That's the first step to something that we don't want to go back to.
Thank you. We're going to switch now to some campaign questions. And we've had a couple that are very similar, and we're going to close out with these because I love to hear this. These two are very similar because it's how do we ramp up your campaign? Or help ramp up your campaign? How do we help you get your media? How do we add to your efforts? So let us know. Let this crowd know. Let us all know what we can be doing to help you get in front of the audiences that you need to be, to get out in front of the voters that you need to see, to get in front of the donors donating that you need to hear from and to receive campaign funds from. Let us know how we can help.
I'll stand up on this.
Yeah, that's a good one to stand up for.
How can you help? Open your Rolodex. You guys know everybody. You know people that need to be here. You know people that can have house parties. You know people that can just send out postcards. We all know someone. We can just spread the word. Kamala Harris was able, just in word of mouth, to raise within days, a few days. It was up to $1,000 in 24 hours. Yes, and this was all. I literally 10 people called me. Hey, you need to be online. You need to be online. You need to be on this call. We could do the same thing for Indiana. We could make sure that we spread the word in such a way that we can get this thing done. Because we need to have support in the Senate. We need to have the majority in the Senate. Remember when Kamala Harris goes up to president? Because she's going to go up to president. Yes. That means that she will not be able to break that tie in the Senate. That's not our job anymore. So we need another senator. We need at least 2 or 3 senators to make sure we have the majority. To make sure we have the majority in the House as well. So that's what you need. Just keep that in mind. But you're all tasked with this campaign. So you're going to call everybody in your Rolodex. So if you're on social media, everything that we post, you post. And also donations are imperative. If you want to contribute, please contribute. We greatly appreciate that. We don't want to have another campaign where we only have 300 signs. that kind of sucked, actually. But yes, donations are important. I know these things get on your nerves, and I am worse. I am the very worst at asking for money. I'm the worst. I hate it when a passion goes through everything that I've learned, but I'm tired of my staff having to ask, can we afford this, can we afford that? Can we do this, can we do that? It's like, no, we can buy your signs, or we can't buy this. We actually need to get the name out. We need billboards. We need a lot of things all at once. So please donate. People can donate up to $3,300 individually, but actually the $5 and $10 donations help as well. So people can donate at whatever level. If it's every week or every month, those things add up as well. So there's stamp camp. We need stamps to send out postcards, because what happens is that we have absentee ballots. We've got a list of people who have filed to get absentee ballot. Those are perfect. We know they want to vote. But to get a postcard to them, it's like, how much is stamps? About 68 cents or something? Yes, it's ridiculous, right? So stamps, send us some stamps. Send us a book of stamps, that works. Or just commit to sending out 50 postcards or 100 postcards. We'll work with you. We have a team. And this is how we won. We have a relentless volunteer team. We have only one paid staff, and everyone else is a volunteer. So we need more volunteers. We will take whatever talent you have and we will multiply it. We will use it. I don't care if your thing is to sing. We'll do some singing telegrams, whatever it takes. We can use you. You were uniquely designed for this moment. Every last one of you. We were all uniquely designed for this moment. Just let us help you figure out how you're going to help. We already know you're going to help, but let us help you figure out how you can best serve this campaign and serve the United States, because ultimately it's about all of us, right?